Okay.
Wow, it's so pretty. Clouds are beautiful.
I know.
It's crazy. Is it supposed to rain?
No,
That's good.
it's just a random cloud.
That's good. I see Dad put up some. Is it fishing line?
The first day, yes, fishing line. First day we came, I wanted to set the hammock out, and there was like wet bird poop everywhere. You couldn't even walk. So he did, and it stopped for a while. But then this morning there was like 100 seagulls out here, so it didn't do much.
Ew.
Yeah. Okay. Fully trusting God, which I feel like I want to start with it because I feel like that's the biggest thing we've learned in the past 6 months. Actually, a year.
Yeah.
And the one thing I noticed was when I don't know if I found it somewhere or I heard it somewhere. I've thought of it myself, but you either trust God fully or you don't trust Him at all.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Why?
Because you don't even know how much you're not trusting God. You can't know. You can't know in what area. Like when you decide to say yes to Jesus, you're a new creation. You're being reborn. It's like JoJo crawling around with her eyes swollen shut. You know what I mean? You don't even know what.
Yeah, I guess
you're just seeing the light for the first time, so you don't even know how dark you were, and you don't know how dark you are. And you only know that because it's a revelation from the Holy Spirit. Like, hey, the Holy Spirit's the one that says, hey, this is wrong.
Yeah. I guess I mean more in a specific situation.
I know, but like you said, if you don't trust God fully, you don't trust God. But you won't. You have to know that you won't trust God fully until after you die. Because there's no way you know that. You don't even know what fully means.
What I meant
on
was
this side of eternity.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what
true.
I mean?
My notes said more of like anytime you let something, like a job, for instance, like how this time last year we had absolutely no idea what you were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had my photography job, but it wasn't it was good side money, but it's hard to build that up. It takes a long time to make that, like, if you can rely on that fully. And we weren't sure what to do with you. So in that moment, we were worried and we didn't know what to do. You were applying to different jobs and everything, but now looking back, that taught me a lot because I can either say, I'm going to let God take control, because I even if I'm scared and I don't feel like I can fully trust Him, I feel like I just have to anyway. That's what trusting is. You can still be scared, but you can still trust Him.
Yeah.
Or I think He's a liar and everything He said is false. It can't really be. You either believe His promises, even if it's scary, and even if your insides feel like this isn't right, you still go forth with it.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, no, I'm not going to let Him have this, then don't believe any of His promises. You have to believe every promise He said is a lie. You have to believe everything He said in the Bible is a lie. So, like the actual quote.
We didn't really even think that way until we actually took a step of faith.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like not going back to Lakeside was just, I didn't think I was saying no to teaching. I didn't think I was leaving teaching.
You thought you were just leaving
I thought I was just leaving Lakeside because it was not a healthy place for me to be.
Yeah.
And it was compromising other things that were important to me, so I couldn't go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I left Lakeside assuming that God was going to give me another teaching job. Because
it's kind of all you knew.
No, that's just, I have my degree, why would I?
Right.
I went to school to teach. I like teaching. I like helping people. It fits me well. I like that it's only during the school year.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, in the past, the Lord, I mean, we've talked about like my car multiple times, God pulling through with the car situation.
Well, explain that. Say what, like.
Yeah, just like when I was leasing a car and my lease was coming up and I didn't want to lease again or buy a new car. I wanted to buy a used car. And I was, putting in the work and doing the research and I said I did my research on used cars. I like the Mazda 3 2007 hatchback would be cool because it reminds me of my first car, the Saturn station wagon that I used to drive. I loved that thing. I love a hatchback because you can put whatever you want in it,
You did really like
the
car.
And I wanted to learn manual, a standard transmission.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted it to be a manual car, and I literally wrote that down in my prayer journal, and I asked God, I want a 2007 Mazda 3 hatchback, standard transmission. And so that's what I was looking for. But I saw this Mazda 6 station wagon manual available in like Warminster or something like that. And so I talked to the seller. It was on Craigslist. Talked to the seller, and I was like, "Yeah, can I see it on Saturday?" Because I was dropping off my lease that was ending on the Friday. So I was like, "God, this has to be the car, because I won't have a car Friday night, and I'm picking it up Saturday so I can get to work on Monday."
Yeah.
And, dealerships aren't open on Sunday, so it's not like it's like I put all my eggs in one basket. And when my dad and I went to pick up the car that I thought God led me to, it was not something I was going to buy because it did not sound right. It didn't feel right driving it. And it wasn't inspected or anything, so we would have had to drive it illegally from this guy's house at night, to take it to a mechanic and have him look at it, and it's like, I'm not going through all that. Just clearly not the car the Lord wanted me to have. And I wasn't listening because it's not the car I asked for. This all came to me afterwards, but anyway. So my dad and I just started driving to dealerships to see what they have.
Mm-hmm.
And we test drove a Hyundai, which was a hatchback, but it was like just a little too expensive for what it was.
Very loud.
I know, I laughed at it too. Because it was like orange, and it was, I just wasn't vibing with it. I asked the Lord for this Mazda 3 2007 hatchback. And then it was like 2 p.m. and on the Saturday, and dealerships are closing down shop, and my dad just last-ditch effort just called the guy that I think he bought a car from recently at North Penn Mazda, and this guy Austin, he was like, "Yeah, I have something here. It's a 2007 Mazda 3 hatchback, standard transmission." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'd like to look at that." So he waited around, and we went to look at it, and it was exactly what I asked the Lord for a month ago.
At the last minute.
At the very last second. And it was more. It was like heated seats, leather interior, and sunroof, moonroof. So it was what I asked for and more. And like sitting when all the paperwork was going down and everything, and I was sitting in Austin's little office or cubicle, and just like God was like, "That car you thought I sent you was not the one you asked for. Why would I give you something you didn't ask for?" And he was just like, "Trust me." And so now leaving Lakeside was like, I've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
This is the end of this term. I can't go back because we can't agree on terms. So
Yeah.
this isn't, the lease is up. And I assumed, same thing happened when I left Penn Christian. I left Penn Christian because the door closed and didn't have anything lined up. And waited till August to know where I was. So leaving PCA in June, I'm a teacher, and the Lord waited till August, and I actually got the job. We went on vacation because I knew I didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
We went to Ireland.
Yeah.
And I didn't worry about it because I knew I'm not supposed to. And
That's
got the call while we were in Ireland that I got the job, and
Mm-hmm.
and then when I got there, it was like I got hired as a sub, but they just put me in a classroom right away.
Yeah.
And like we were a perfect find for each other at the time, and then I had to trust the Lord again, and here we are. It's really different. Now, I don't have didn't get a teaching job, but we are 1 year removed from all my interview and application efforts,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lord provided this whole year just in so many different ways, in ways that I thought, some ways that I thought were beneath me, some ways that I thought were impossible, but the Lord still provided, and I still acted like a silly goose, but the Lord's carrying
freedom comes
carrying
from that.
us through. I'm sorry I kept saying me, but
Yeah, no, I understand.
I meant us.
And it's
there's so much freedom comes from that. Yeah.
I didn't realize myself before because I was so reliant on worldly things. Like I didn't realize how reliant on worldly stuff I was. I was like, okay, if I want this job or I want to have this, anything really, I was like, I really want this. I'm just going to trust in God and He'll provide that. And if He doesn't, it is what it is. But the fact that He is providing us so much, He's changing our lives drastically, completely different than we ever thought. And our money situation, financially, it's
up in the air.
It's very up in the air.
And now we're both just entrepreneurs.
Yeah. It's
hard when people ask, what do you do? Because it's such a cultural question. I start with, well, my wife and I, we make stuff. And then that's weird. And it's, how when you talk to those multi-level marketing people, it's like, what do you do? They go, well, it's a little complicated.
I can't tell you exactly.
I can't say exactly what it is, but I build teams that help each other out. And then you're like, okay, what do you do?
But from a worldly perspective, we look like we don't have anything.
Yeah. And we look like we don't do anything.
Yeah. And people are like, what is wrong? So I guess to some people it looks like we're not trusting God because they think we're being lazy or something when we're not being lazy at all. It's just when you have that freedom that we finally experienced after all this time, freedom of being like, well, okay, I'm going to live every day for the Lord, no matter how that looks, even if I don't get as much work done as I wanted to, or say we help our neighbor out, or that guy we talked to in the car the other day for an hour and a half. We thought he was had a heart attack or something. And we ended up talking to him for a really long time. We have the freedom to do that now. God's given us that freedom during the day. We don't have to be at a 9-to-5 job. We have that freedom to talk to that man for a long time. And if we don't get as much done during the day, he doesn't care about how much physical work we do. As long as we're working on our faith every day, and that freedom that comes from that is
we're just
really
making
wild.
Ourselves available to Him. And He can use us. We're so unattached now.
And the verse,
and we can be so flexible now.
Yeah. The verse, it's Psalm 62, 6-8, or mostly just 6-7. But He only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken. And I think the most important word is only, because He was part of my.
What is that?
Psalm 62, 6-7.
Yeah.
It's I always had faith and hope in Him, but I had faith and hope in everything else too. I had faith and hope in my family. I had faith and hope in you. And I was like, well, God gave me those things, so I can have faith in them. I was blessed with these things, so I can have faith in them. And I'm realizing that is not true. He, like, your family's wonderful and everything, and I am so blessed with my family. I'm so blessed with everything I have, but that should never, ever come before him.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, always
take the place
offer
of
that
God.
up.
Yeah, taking the place of God as an idol. It's like if I'm ever like, oh, I'll be good because I have my 401k.
Right. He blessed
See,
me with my
that's-
401k, so I'll be fine. Like,
That's true, but you have to recognize that 401k is taking the place of God.
yeah.
Now, that's not saying God can't use a 401k to
Right.
secure you, but if you're saying I'm okay because I have
And that's
anything
where
besides
I was so
Jesus,
confused before.
anything besides Jesus, it sounds nitpicky and minuscule and
Mm-hmm.
sounds like it's trivial, but it is taking the place of God.
Yep.
And I didn't know. And it's like,
And relationships.
it's not like,
too.
yeah, it's not like you're a human and you're doing life and, oh, I need God's help with this one thing in my life. You're not even a human. You're a fish in the water, and you're not supposed to be a fish. And God has to pull you out of the water, and you have to start breathing air and grow arms and legs and be able to walk again. Like, you need to be made a new creation in order to walk with God again, because we're fallen from Adam walking with God and just talking to him like a person, like a friend. Like, that's the thing, you got to remember that God is a person. We were made to have a relationship with him that was broken, and now we can't even see. Only us being shown anything is, you need to realize you're being shown it from God. You didn't stumble upon it. It's impossible for you to stumble upon it. You didn't come up with it on your own, because that's literally impossible. If you came up with it on your own, whatever it is, you know it's not from God. If you didn't hear it from him, it's not from him. Yeah, but that's not to say, like, he uses pastors, he uses friends, he uses family, he uses all that, but like, at least personally, I and we together, we thought it was coming from these people, from these things that God gave us, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
That's 20 minutes.
Okay.
Of recording.
Yes. I'm just gonna go check, and we can.
Yeah, good idea.
We can cut this. Let's see. What else did I have written?
Yeah, let's read Psalm 62. Like the first verse. For God alone, my soul waits in silence. If you think about that, like, what needs to happen in order for that to be true? For God alone, my soul waits in silence. The only thing my soul waits for is God.
And I did want to say, before you read that, I just want to really mention, when you know that this place is so temporary, your family's so temporary, your relationships, your jobs, it doesn't matter, your finances, especially your finances. Like, when you choose to disobey God and put somebody else, something else in front of him and say, well, I can't lose this job, I can't mess up this relationship, these things mean so much to me. You have to.
Realize, like, listen to yourself and hear how many times you said me, I.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that I'm any better. It's God resurrected us out of it.
But I still
we used to be like that.
I still think, like, okay, I have this security. Like, our house, for instance. Say we didn't make enough money to support our house. Like, we're struggling financially. And to the world, people can't comprehend, like, okay, you're struggling financially. That is, like, one of the biggest downfalls in marriages and just life in general. That's what America revolves themselves around. Finances, having a job, your status. And when people can't understand, like, that's wait, you don't know where your money's coming from. You are fully, every day you wake up.
No.
Yeah.
And the truth is, when you have a job, COVID showed us, if I didn't work at Lakeside and I worked at, I don't know, some, like, a boarding school or something, a different private school where the parents have to keep sending the money in, like, you could just if the parents lost their jobs because of COVID, like their employer had to stop paying them because they weren't doing business because the government told them not to. Then I would have to work without getting paid.
Well, that's the other thing too is
it at the snap of a finger, it seemed like everything shut down and your income stopped. When you thought
when
it was
you're
secure,
fully relying, or even relationships, families, it doesn't matter. Those people, one, they might not be here forever. Well, they won't be here forever, but the relationship itself might not last forever. And when anything
we were
can
so
happen,
lucky.
drama,
Yeah.
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
But also, if God wants you to work hard, we're not saying like, oh, just sit on the couch and do whatever.
Yeah.
But he also wants you to enjoy being here.
It's got to be about him.
You are. Yeah. Are you feeling a little?
There's a couple raindrops here.
It's okay. It's really beautiful.
It is really pretty.
But if you are, he's a creator.
You.
He wants you to create. He wants you to enjoy life here. And the amount of people that live for the weekend or live for their one vacation and then they go back to work and they're stressed and they're struggling.
About their family,
they bring it home.
Their life.
It's like that's not. God doesn't want you to live that. Yes, you're supporting your family. As a man, you're supposed to support your family.
Well, that's just the way it is.
No, God wants you, if you work on your faith every day and rely on it as much as you can, you will struggle with it. It's going to be hard. But if you try to make that a priority every single day when you wake up, things are going to come up, but I'm going to really, really try to keep him. My priority is him, and no matter how your day goes, okay, that day was used well. I don't need to worry about how hard I worked. I don't need to worry about my status. God's the only one looking at me.
Yeah, when I heard people talk like this, like missionaries, it's like you're just asking people for money, and it was like, what am I trying to say? Kind of like, what an idiot.
Yeah. Well,
just get a job.
What an idiot, or they're so lucky. Look, they don't have to. They can sit back and.
Yeah. Oh, it must be nice to be called to.
And it's like, believe me,
we're all called to that.
We're all called to that, and it's not easy. There's a lot of things we're struggling with worldly right now, but we have so much freedom in it, and it's not from us. It's not anything we thought. Yeah. Sorry, I mean, our troubles are worldly.
The troubles are temporary.
Yeah.
It looks.
When you know that this literally is so temporary. This body's when I struggle with health issues, it's like my body's so temporary. I'm not gonna have to deal with this forever. It's so temporary, and you just have to have that.
Remember that it's fleeting.
Yeah.
And the only way we can survive the end of all things is holding on to him.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that you'll have left to hold on to. Are you building your house on the rock, or are you building your house on the sand? It's really simple. But when you really think about it, you have to come to terms with the fact that, are you trusting in yourself?
Yeah.
Are you trusting in yourself? Are you waiting for, are you striving really hard because you're trusting in your ability?
And it's hard. I think being an American, it makes it 10 times harder.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Everything so easy. And that's why this podcast...
And you grow up with these structures like church and youth group, and every summer I go to camp and all these things. You think, I'm good because I have all this
I'm
stuff.
Good. I did a sinner's prayer. I said the prayer. I'll go to heaven one day.
I did all my sacraments, so now I can choose to do these things that I know aren't from God, but I did my sacraments, so I'm covered.
And that's where we got the name of the podcast from, Disrupt the Comfort, because we
gotta shake it up.
Our comfort was severely shaken, and it's brought the most joy and freedom we've ever experienced. And we're just seeing all these Christians, people who claim to know Jesus, living this comfortable life and complaining all the time and not obeying what God says. And we are not saying we're perfect at it at all, because we struggle all the time. But we're just realizing in the obedience that we've been doing the past year, it's like, man, we were living so wrong before and calling ourselves Christians and not reaping any of the benefits from the Lord. And they're major benefits that we missed out on for a really long time. At least me. I mean, I know you too, but...
We're not saying that you can't be a Christian and have a job at all.
No, that's not.
It's just where we were at. We didn't realize. And like, we prayed, and I prayed since I was, since I was in high school, that God would make me into a man after his own heart, like King David.
Mm-hmm.
And I pray, Lord, I only want to rely on you. I really want that. I only want to trust you. Like, I want Psalm 62 to be true.
Yeah.
God, I want you to be the only thing my soul waits for. I want to remember that my salvation only comes from you. That you alone is my rock and my You alone are my rock and my salvation, and you're my defense and my fortress. When Jesus said, if your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. Like, that sounds insane.
Yeah.
And like, especially in that culture, why would you cut off your arm? If your right arm causes you to sin, that's like how you make a living. You become a beggar if you don't have a right arm.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if that causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it out is the advice that Jesus gives you. And like, sure, you can say, oh, well, he didn't mean actually. I don't know. I think he actually meant it. Like, it's a lot of rain. It's a little more wet than we are comfortable with. And where is it coming from?
I don't know.
The wind's going this way. Oh. Well, maybe.
But that was moving out. That was over there before.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's too much for the camera.
Well, yeah. We can do a part 2.